I am going to tank a plus 21 key with a spec that I have basically never played before. For anyone who doesn't play Mythic Plus, any key over 20 can be considered the deep end of the deep end. Everything is deadly and the mobs are more juiced up than your average IFPP pro. Essentially, one bad movement can lead to a death and the key might just be bricked. In a second, a team can lose 30 minutes of their progression because the person holding it all together has no idea what they're doing. And hey, that's me! I am that person. A couple of days ago, I got a very vague message on Discord. Apparently, my guildie's tank was running late and they needed to complete the homework key before he comes back. If you don't know, homework keys are essentially resi keys. To get a 22 key that gives you rating, you need to complete a 21 key that you might have already done before. Here's the issue though. I have never played Guardian Druid before. I have played my Balance Druid for a guild's alt raids, but I have no idea how to play bird tank. I am what you would call a capable Retribution Paladin. I raid in a Hall of Fame guild, I have decent parses, and I think that I am an okay DPS player. Unfortunately, I have never had any interest in tanking, and to make matters worse, I heard the Skyreach is an extremely punishing dungeon for tanks. Obviously, I tried to reason with them. I tried to explain them that I would be a liability, I have never tanked before, and my druid was a boomy, not a bear tank. But they just told me that it'll be fine, just look at the guide and we will figure it out as we go, because we really need a tank right now. I hopped on the Druid Discord and I was looking through the guide on how bear tanks works, and to my surprise, it's really not that complicated. You press trash on cooldown, then you press lunar beam on cooldown, and then you follow up with moonfire to fill out the gaps and reduce the cooldown of your lunar beam. Since the rotation was already so simple, I got a tip from my friend who actually plays bear that you can just macro your Iron Fur to your Moonfire so you never actually have to press the button yourself, and it will just come naturally and spend your Fury as you press Moonfire to generate aggro. Even with the simple rotation and not having to worry about my mitigation, the start went as well as you probably could have guessed. We wiped time after time after time, and it was all because of me.
I simply wish you had lasted a little longer.
The first pull of the instance is always going to be a rough one. I would be collecting 5 to 6 bags of mobs while running and leaving my back to them, and we would have to get them all gathered up before we can stabilize and use Bloodlust. I would quickly notice that I had no idea how to gather the mobs efficiently. This would constantly wipe us again and again. Either the DPS or the healer would get hit by the mobs that I missed, or I would be the one to die as I was panicking over my health bar and I didn't press my cooldowns properly. Luckily, these homework keys do give us a chance to learn and start over. I would always apologize to my team and we would just go again. We would eventually get a couple of runs where we survived the initial pull and get to the first boss. Luckily, the bosses in this instance have no mechanics that concern the tank that much, so I would just chill for 3 to 4 minutes and gather my CDs and get prepared for the next pulls. After around 2 hours of patiently wiping and re-clearing the instance, I felt like I was getting the hang of it. My DPS was increasing, I was getting faster with the gather, and I was able to plan ahead my CDs to get through the harsh pulls of the instance. Unfortunately, after the 7th wipe, we decided that this was going to be the last try. Either we get it done, or my team will try it with their own tank who was about to get home anyway. This was the do or die.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The last run starts out well. I noticed that I was going way faster than I had on my previous pulls, and I managed to tag all the mobs while running, and my HP bar was still very manageable without using any crucial CDs. We pop Bloodlust and clean out the room fairly quickly. After the first pull, we move on to the boss room. Here, I got extremely lucky that most of my team is ranged, because I was having very flimsy time tagging all the mobs on the other side of the room. Luckily, no one got hurt, and we got all of them together and burnt down the pack fairly quickly as well. The first boss was going to be Test of Mental Strength. After 2 hours of wiping, re-clearing, planning and learning more, I was getting very tired out. Now I would have to just sit back and wait for 3 minutes for the boss to die, and then we would get to the hardest part of the instance. This spool would be the bane of my existence. Here, I would have to go to the right and tag all the mobs, while our augmentation evoker would use Sleepwalk to separate the mob from the left to us. The Demon Hunter and the DK were occupied with the constant bolt casting, so I was tasked with interrupting one of the two major casts of the pack. What makes this pull extra hard is the stacking debuff that the tank gets. At around 8 to 10 stacks, I would be taking unbearable amount of damage, and this would wipe us if I didn't manage to drop the stacks efficiently. Someone would call it luck, but I call it fate. We managed to stabilize even after dropping the 2% of my HP, and we managed to burn down the pack. Luckily, the next pull will be way easier for me since there won't be any tank mechanics. Our monk would just go and para one of the mobs on the right, and we would just burn down the rest of the pack. The boss itself is very tedious. I would have to take a couple of tank slams away from the group, then I would find the healer and take their soak. It's a test of patience, as the boss has a massive H pool. Fortunately, everything went well and we were on our way to the next boss room. The next pull wasn't all that bad. We would just pile all the birds together and keep them locked down. After the small ones are dead, we can just chill and burn down the large ones. The boss as well wasn't big of a deal. As a Guardian Druid, I'll always have something up for the tank buster, so the boss basically plays itself. Unfortunately, here's where things get a bit tricky. In a plus 20 key, you're heavily encouraged to skip some of the packs to make the pulls faster or safer. We would send our Demon Hunter to pull the mobs away from the door, and then he would use the Wormstone to teleport to our Augmentation Evoker, and then he would have to use Shadow Melt to reset the aggro. During the kiting, we would slip past them. I would pull the pack from the right and combine it with the left one. This way, we can have a good pack without any dangerous mobs in them. I'm gonna be honest, this took a couple of tries before, but luckily things went very smoothly this time. We were on our way to the last two pulls of the instance. I would combine two packs and we would just focus down the large one that would usually either kill me or one of the DPS players. There is not much to say about the last pull. The pack really doesn't do that much, so we just burn it down and we started our final encounter, the last boss. Even with plenty of time on the timer, my heart was racing. We were finally onto the last boss. We couldn't have pulled it any better. But here, we had some issues. The boss deals very heavy damage, and even when our DPS could bypass some of the mechanics with double jumps, teleports and Wormstones, we still managed to have a couple of deaths. Luckily, I managed to get the healer and the Demon Hunter back up quickly, and we managed to burn down the boss. And there it is! Yes! 124 more rating and a plus 21 under my belt. Holy! Obviously, I do understand that I was basically boosted here. I had 4 people telling me what to do, instructing me, and giving me the patience and virtue of just teaching me how the things should be done. Still, I'm going to be super proud of myself because I managed to pick up a class that I had never essentially played and complete a dungeon that's in the top 1% of all the keys, and I couldn't be happier. This was so much fun. With all said and done, I truly hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I enjoyed making it. I might make another video later, who knows? But in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you in the next one.